Hello, everyone. Welcome to The Writing Cabin with Tarah Benner. I'm author Tarah Benner, and this is my cabin. We all need to escape into story from time to time, so come on in, sit down by the fire, pour yourself a nice hot cup of coffee, and let's talk books. Now, before we get started today, I want to take a quick moment to thank my wonderful patrons. Patrons, your support not only funds the creation of new monthly stories, but it tells me that you enjoy my books so much that you want to support them and me directly. If you, dear listener, would like to join our Patreon family, you can do so over at patreon.com/Tarah Benner Labs. I create a brand new short story or piece of fiction for my patrons every single month, and right now you can gain access to the entire library of Patreon exclusives for just $3. Come now, support for a month, support for a year, support forever. I'm happy to have you no matter how long you choose to be there. Again, that is patreon.com/Tarah Benner Labs. All right. This week's featured book is Aether Witch, Witches of Mountain Shadow, Book 1. The Grimes sisters aren't normal, even by witches' standards. For weeks, Fiona has been having chilling visions of death, and Eleanor sees restless spirits nearly everywhere she goes. It doesn't help that Mountain Shadow is a rather strange place to begin with, where rumors of curses fly as fast as saltwater taffy on a warm summer day. When a string of gruesome murders rocks the small town, Fiona and the rest of her coven begin to worry that a fellow witch may be the killer. Even worse, a witch hunter has just moved in next door, and he suspects the coven. When it seems that Eleanor might be the next victim, it will take an unlikely alliance and all the witches' combined power to stop the killer before it's too late. So right now, you can actually get the digital version of Aether Witch for free at tarahbenner.com or wherever books are sold. I have also posted the audiobook on my YouTube channel, and so if you are an audio listener, you can listen there. So check it out, tarahbenner.com. Now it's time for my little life updates that I do each and every week, and it's a little chaotic this week. You may hear my son in the background. He is supposed to be napping, but we had gymnastics this morning, and I had to run some errands afterward, and then we got home, and it was lunchtime, and I think he senses that something is going on, and so he is awake when he's supposed to be asleep. We're actually having some house guests that are arriving later this afternoon, and so it's been kind of a chaotic morning, trying to get ready, and I'm trying to get some work done, which feels kind of like an exercise in insanity. Yeah, that's what we've been up to. Just living that toddler mom / writer life. I feel like I'm really an introvert at heart. I mean, I'm a major introvert, and lately I've been doing a lot of extroverty things, like socializing with other moms and going to toddler gymnastics and ukulele club and like all these things, having house guests, like what? So it's been a lot of peopling, and as a result, I am deeply tired. Like, not tired, like I haven't slept, but just kind of like exhausted from the whirlwind of it all. So I'm looking forward to, Saturday I have to do taxes, but Sunday I'm thinking it may be a Murder, She Wrote marathon day. And for some reason, my son kind of enjoys watching Murder, She Wrote with me. He's too little to understand anything that's happening, but he seems to enjoy that more than like the little Clifford cartoon that we've showed him or the Smurfs. We don't really watch a lot of TV in our household, and so when we do watch TV, it's like a major novelty for him, and I think he likes the real people shows better than the little kid cartoon shows. Of course, like I'm a writer, and that's what he's watching. So that's about all that I have going on the life front. As far as my writing update goes, I am in the midst of the first draft of Mountain Shadow Mysteries, Book 1. I had to look down at my notes to see what I'm deciding to call it right now. That is the series name. I do not have the individual book title yet. That's one of the hardest things for me, is to come up with the first book in series title. And usually it's the 11th hour before I finally name the book. But Mountain Shadow Mysteries will be the series. And it's been so much fun to write this already. I had this idea quite a long time ago, and Aether Witch is very much kind of a mystery. At least there's a mystery in it, but it's not really structured like a mystery. And so I'm trying to make this book structured more like a traditional cozy mystery, although it's still very much Mountain Shadow, And I've already made a lot of changes. Starting out, I knew kind of like who this main character was, what her life situation was kind of like coming into town. I knew the grandma. I knew that character very well. Little bits and pieces of her may have been inspired by my own grandma. I knew that there was going to be a cat and a haunted hotel, and I knew like several elements of it. I knew who the murder victim was. I knew who the killer was. But I made a lot of changes to the plot. Like the blurb that I read on the podcast last week isn't even relevant, because it's changed so much. And a big part of that has to do with a book that I've been reading. It's a nonfiction book called Seven Figure Fiction by Theodora Taylor. She is incredible. I was in a roundtable discussion with her at NINC last September, and she is just like super fun and funny and vivacious in real life. And her book is hilarious and honestly kind of blew my mind, like from a fiction perspective. I've been doing this a long time, you guys. I've been publishing for 10 years, and still there's always things to learn about craft, and not just craft like in, let me write some good literature, because I definitely don't write literature. I'm not ashamed to say that. I write, fun page turners. Like that's what I do. And Theodora Taylor knows how to write a page turner, and she knows the elements of story that really like draw a reader in. And she has this whole concept called universal fantasy, like these little kind of general fantasies that are part of the zeitgeist that we don't even really see, that are in a lot of popular books and movies and TV shows. And so I was reading this and I was like, ooh, how can I put more butter? She calls these things, these like juicy story tidbits, butter. Like, how can I pour more butter on this story? And so it ended up like really changing like in the last week. And so I kind of had to do some replotting and reconfiguring of the first couple chapters that I'd written. But I think it's going to be a lot more intriguing, a lot stronger of a story. And yeah, I've just been having a blast with it. I think you're going to love it. I'm really hoping to have the first draft completed by probably like the end of the third week of March. And and so, I'm looking maybe publish in May. I'm hoping, fingers crossed, it'll be May, but I can't put a date on it just yet. The other thing that I have done this past week is I put Demon Witch, the audiobook, which is Mountain Shadow Book 2, I put that up on my YouTube channel. And this is kind of an experiment because the conventional wisdom, I say conventional wisdom, this is kind of like a newer thing that authors have been doing, is putting book 1 of a long series up on YouTube as an audiobook, with the idea that people will listen to book 1, really enjoy it, and then go buy books 2 through whatever on whatever audio platform they listen on. And I think that's true. That logic still holds, but my YouTube channel has been monetized, and so I do earn ad revenue. And I know there's a lot of people that just don't have the money right now to spend on audiobooks, and audiobooks are expensive. And to be honest, as the author, I don't see a lot of that money. Like when you pay $15 for an Audible credit, I see very little of that money. And so I thought to myself, why don't I, as an experiment, put a few more books up on my YouTube channel and just see if I can kind of make that up in ad revenue, what I would have gotten from audiobook sales because I like offering things for free. I like getting people sucked into the story, and pretty soon they have to read them all. Like, that's kind of my business model. And so I'm very happy anytime someone can find me on YouTube and enjoy the audiobook. And if there's really no reason for me to not keep putting books up there, I will. I do not currently own, I'm still in a royalty share agreement for one of the Witches books, but I may end up buying out the narrator on that. And then I still have to have books 5 and 6 produced, but that is on my docket to do. I had someone ask me about that today, actually, and books 5 and 6 are coming. It's just a matter of being an indie author, having to budget as far as time and money goes for different projects. So they are coming. That, I believe, about sums it up for my writing update. Now it's time for what am I reading this week? And this week I am reading Pretty Little Fliers by Erin Johnson. It's a fun, like, pet psychic mystery, which I don't usually read, but I really enjoyed Erin Johnson's tea room mysteries, vampire tea room mysteries. I can't remember the series name, but she's a really fun mystery author, and so I thought I'd try this series out. I am still listening to Wings and Broken Things by Trixie Silvertale in the Mitzi Moon Mysteries series. So a lot of paranormal mysteries that I've been reading because that's what I'm writing. It's almost time to wrap up for this week, but before we go, let's check the mailbox. And this week we have a comment on the YouTube channel about the Demon Witch audiobook. This comes from Skitten Meow. She writes, "Extremely grateful. I have had heaps of household chores judging me for being undone. This book gave me the excuse to start chipping away at them. And wow, it's a fun ride. Thanks for the absolutely productive and enjoyable time. I've rearranged my home office and cleaned and tidied the whole house. Feels like slaying demons." Thank you so much for that comment. It made me laugh because this sounds like me listening to things as I clean and organize. If you, dear listener, have any questions or comments that you would like for me to read on the show, you can send them to tarahbenner@gmail.com, or you can post them on any of my social media channels. Well, don't do that. Post them on the YouTube channel, because if you post them on Facebook, it may be like a month before I see them. But I am at author Tarah Benner on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. I am Tarah Benner author on YouTube, so make sure you subscribe so that you never miss a new audiobook or a new episode of The Writing Cabin. That's all I have for you this week, but feel free to stay in my cabin for as long as you like. We can drink all the coffee, you can crack open a good book, hopefully one of mine, and have a wonderful weekend.